Well, hello there, you faithful few, and welcome back to DMS Adventures, where it's pretty nice to not need ice. Yeah, so we mentioned getting this ICECO cooler back in our new gear for 2022 video, and now it's time to give you faithful few a review of this awesome cooler. So normally on our car camping adventures, we would use our Orca cooler, which was a great cooler. There's two things with it though. It was a little small for a family of four for any more than one day, two at the most. Also, it needed ice. So that just took up more of the limited space that we had in it. It's always kind of annoyed me needing to get ice for the cooler. And so after talking with Keith, the trail medic, he recommended this particular brand due to its compressor. And so we picked it up and we have been using it now for a good 8 months or so. Now ICECO has lots of different sizes. This one in particular is the 68.6 quart model. And let me tell you, it is massive. So we picked this bad boy up for $758, but here at the time of filming, it is currently going for $884. It runs off of a normal AC outlet, but it can also be run off a DC outlet there from your car. It has a ICECO compressor, and it has a 5-year warranty on the compressor itself and a 1-year warranty on everything else. So now let's go over a couple specs for you. This cooler is 32.3 inches long, 19.4 inches wide, and 19.6 inches tall. It weighs 64 pounds, so I'm often getting Rugged Mountain Sister to help me carry this out and load it into the truck. Here in the left compartment, you have a total of 43.5 quarts. Then over here in the smaller compartment, you have 25.1 quarts. Now let me tell you, this fits a lot of food. We had 3 days in here for all 4 of us with plenty of room. In fact, when we were out on our Camp Chronicle number 4, we ended up putting some of our friends' food in here too because they were running out of ice. So we just love that aspect of this thing so far. So now let's take a few minutes and show you how to operate this thing. So to power it on, just click and hold the power button here. Then right here you got the left compartment's current temperature, the right compartment's current temperature, whether you're on max cooling or eco, the voltage. This is the safety setting for when it turns off if you're running off your car battery. It's currently set to a higher voltage. So if your car battery voltage drops to 11.1 volts, it'll turn off the cooler and it won't pull any more power out of your battery. And then there's a medium and a low. That's just your power indicator. So the easiest way to go through everything is to just hit the mode button here. You cycle first up. That's your temperature setting for the left compartment. You can go from 0 to 50. Then hit mode again. That's your left compartment. We're currently set at 0. That's as low as it goes. You can take that all the way up to 50. Switch again, it goes to max or eco mode. More on that later. Then hit mode again, and there's your medium cutoff and low cutoff. The low cutoff, I believe, is 9.6 volts. And that's it for cycling through everything here on the control panel. All right, so now let's talk performance. We did a controlled test on the ICECO here just to see how long it took to cool both compartments down to a particular temperature, and to compare both the max cooling setting versus the eco cooling setting to see if there was any difference. So we're comparing and contrasting between 2 different modes, but also looking at it very generally to see how it performs. Actually, I'm kind of going to cut to the chase here and say there's very minimal difference between the eco mode and the max cooling mode, which actually kind of surprised me. So in both cases, the unit started off at 63 degrees on the inside, and we had the settings at 32 degrees on this side and 0 degrees on this side. Also want to mention that we ran it off of the Jackery 1000 solar generator because that's primarily what we're going to be running it off of when we're car camping. So in eco mode, it took about 1 hour and 24 minutes to to get that down to 32 and this down to 0. And of course, it took the most time to get this down to 0. It only took 31 minutes to get this side to 32 degrees. And by the time it was all said and done, and that hour and 24 minutes were up, we had sucked 9% of the juice out of the Jackery. Then we ran the exact same test in max mode. I expected a big difference, but as it turns out, there was not. It took the exact same amount of time, 31 minutes, to get this side down to 32. And then we shaved about 6 minutes off getting this side down to 0, and it still used the same amount of power out of the Jackery, sucking 9% of the juice out. So again, just to clearly compare, in eco mode, it took 84 minutes to get this to 32 degrees and 0 degrees. And in the max mode, it took 78 minutes to get to the same temperatures. Then we ran it for an additional 3 hours, and it ended up using about 4% of the Jackery per hour. So consequently, I'm probably just going to leave this thing on eco mode all the time. So now just a few anecdotal thoughts over our 8 months of using this. We had one situation where we were using this at the Rugged Mountain Twins graduation party, where it was a good 85 degrees out and humid, and I had this cooled down to 32 degrees and 32 degrees. We stuck a full amount of warm soda cans in this thing, and it never got down below 42, 43 degrees. It just seemed like we put too many warm things in there, given the outside temperature, for this to ever catch up and cool everything down in about the 3 hours or so that we were there. On the other hand, on Camp Chronicle number 4, we had this in the back of the truck baking in about the same temperature for a good 6 hours, and it kept everything down to 32 degrees for all that time. It sucked a lot of juice out of the Jackery, but it did the job. And then one final instance, when we met up with the Santos Chronicles, it was Carl's birthday. So we had gone out and got some frozen cupcakes from Dairy Queen, and we were able to get this compartment over here down to 0 degrees and had those in there for a good 16 hours or so, kept them nice and frozen for when we got the chance to surprise Mr. Carl. Let me give you a quick tour of the ICECO cooler. Here is your AC input. Got a 15 amp fuse and your DC input. Some nice stout handles with a spring in it to keep them down. Here's your vent in the back, your vents on the side that you always want to keep clear of any obstructions. Nice robust hinges. Love that it comes with these wire racks. Fit all the way down in there. Lets you load this up outside of the cooler and then bring it in. Just drop it down there. The other side has one as well, a little bit shorter. Here you go, but very nice to be able to put things in here. And there is a lower compartment, so you're able to just kind of take everything out and reach down in there to get what you need, and then put that right back in. Also love the feature of these little LED lights in here. Of course, when you're camping, you may not always have your headlight on you, so you can open this up and see what you're doing. Like having these bumpers on the side here on the corners, both at the top and down here on the bottom. It's nice just to help to keep it protected. The clasps here are very sturdy, although they look a little off. That's just my OCD talking, I think. But very nice, very effective. Do the job of keeping it closed. And on this cooler, we have started to put the stickers of our favorite channels on here after we ran out of room on all of our water bottles. So far, we've really enjoyed using the ICECO. It's done a great job overall, and really the only drawback that I can see is just that it's so heavy. In fact, its weight became such an issue that we ended up looking for another cooler that we'll show you in a later video. Also, one of the reasons why we got this particular model is that both compartments are separate completely, so you can open one door or the other. Not only that, but you can have both sides as a refrigerator, you can have both sides as a freezer, or you can have either side be either a refrigerator or a freezer. So you get a lot of flexibility on what you can put in here. We'll see how this thing does over the coming months and hopefully years, and if there's anything that we need to report in the way of an update video, we'll surely do that. But as for now, we hope you learned something about the ICECO 68.6 quart cooler / refrigerator. And if you have any questions, leave them down there in the comments and I will do my best to answer them as quickly as possible. I want to thank you so much for watching, and you all have a great day.